Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Ultima 6, The False Prophet. In our last episode, tragedy struck as one of the Avatar's most stalwart companions, the brave mouse Sherry, was felled in battle, and all of the party mourned her passing. There was nothing any of them could do about it, any way to bring her back to life. Or was there? So in Ultima 6, there are a couple ways that you can bring people back to life. And I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate one of them right now. Now, I made a mistake in the previous game by trying to have Lord British bring Sherry back to life. Lord British does not resurrect people in this game. He can heal your party, but he can't resurrect them. However, to resurrect your party members, if someone does die, you can pick up their body like an object, just like I did with Sherry, and take them to one of the healers of the realm, and the healers can resurrect them. Unfortunately, Sherry is not recognized by the game, by the healers, as a body of a human that can be resurrected. If we carry Sherry to a healer and ask them to resurrect, they will say, but I see no dead body. They apparently don't recognize a mouse as something that's worthy of their time. There are, however, two ways to bring Sherry back to life. One of them is to get the Avatar up to level 8, so that he can cast the resurrection spell. Actually, I'm not certain if it is a level 8 spell, but getting the Avatar up to a sufficient level that he can cast the resurrection spell. That's a bit a ways away for us. The other way, however, is to cast a spell that we have never used before that I'm going to show you right now. Let's go ahead and bring up the spell book here. And let's look at the spell book. Here in the first level, there's a spell that we started off with called Help. We only have reagents. Actually, it doesn't take any reagents, but we can only cast it once. And if you read the manual for Ultima 6, it says as much. It says that it is a spell that can only be cast once by any mage in the world. The exact wording is, when all is lost and death seems certain, this spell quickens the user's demise and resurrects him and his party before the throne of Britannia. So in other words, it's a way of sacrificing our life so that we can then get resurrected by Lord British, which is what would happen anytime the Avatar loses his life. They say that you can only cast it once when you read a lot of game lore. You can actually cast it as many times as you like, but subsequent times casting it will cost experience points. However, we can cast it now this first time with no penalty, assuming we're never going to use it again. And, well, hopefully we won't have to. Here we go. Kalor! What'll happen is, and I should have let you see the sky, right now time is passing. The moons are going across the sky and it's going to take us to the next morning. And as you can see, the sun has risen. We are now in front of the throne room of Lord British, and Sherry is back in the party. And everybody has full health. Now, before we get into any further misadventures, there's one last thing I want to do. Sherry's been a very good companion to us, but right now, she really doesn't accomplish much. She's, I did not mean to do that. She's unfortunately a fairly weak character. She can't carry much, so we can't use her as a pack mule to carry armor or weapons or anything else that we want to move around, and she doesn't hit very hard, unfortunately. She's a great companion, but right now, unfortunately, she's more of a liability than a help, even though she's been a very great help to our quest so far. But I think the Avatar was a little shaken by her loss. He's a little worried about her well-being, and he believes that she deserves to have a little bit of a quiet life with her friend Lord British in the castle. So we're going to go ahead and talk to Sherry really quickly and ask her to leave. Oh, sorry. We'll say goodbye. Oh, goodbye. Does this mean you want me to go home now? Yes. All right, now I can hear my bedtime stories again. I'll leave my stuff with you in case you need it. All right, so Sherry has left the party, and she will remain here in Castle British. If we decide we want her again, we can always come back and get her. But otherwise, she's going to go back to her hanging out with Lord British and having a good time. So while we were here, I wanted to go ahead and let's make sure we're fully healed. I wanted to ask Lord British if he knew more about this book. that we're carrying around. You know, this seems to be a source of a lot of trouble. The whole reason we're looking for this darn silver tablet in the first place. Okay, well, he doesn't have anything to say about our book, but I collect rare books. There's one in particular I've been hunting for many years. It's called The Wizard of Oz. Ever hear of it? Well, I think we've all heard of The Wizard of Oz. Well, if thou dost run across it in thy travels, I would greatly appreciate if thou couldst bring it here. I have promised a great reward to whosoever shall bring me a copy. Okay, well that's good. If we run into The Wizard of Oz, we'll bring a copy back to Lord British. May fortune favor thee. And that brings me to the purpose of today's episode. Now, we've made some progress on our quest. We've freed some of the shrines, and we've gotten 2 map pieces towards finding a Hawkinsberry treasure. But we've also found, let's ignore Finn again. We've also found that, unfortunately, at this point, we're going to have to be going into different dungeons to complete our quest. And the loss of Sherry has convinced the Avatar that the party is not yet fully equipped in terms of experience and levels, or in terms of the equipment we have. And well, in order to deal with that, there's a couple things we're going to have to do. We're going to have to go fight a lot more monsters and get our levels up, and we're also going to have to get more gold so we can buy better equipment. Well, the easiest thing to do right now is to get more gold, so I'm going to show you a couple different ways in this episode of how we get gold. There's probably not going to be a whole lot of fighting in this episode or actual progression of the quests if you want to go ahead and skip ahead to a later episode once it's published, but for now we're going gold hunting. And then hopefully we'll get some better weapons and armor. Now we've been told by 2 people now that we've met in our travels that if we bring them a certain book, they will reward us. If you remember from a previous episode, Dr. Cat in the town of Paws told us that he would give us a reward if we brought him a book of strategy of games. And now Lord British has told us that he will give us a reward if we bring him The Wizard of Oz. Well, there is one place that we know of that has books, and that would be the library at the Lyceum. Looks like it's time for a trip to Moonglow. Now, if you remember, if we use the Orb of the Moons, 2 paces to the north and 2 paces to the west, it opens a moon gate to the town of Moonglow. Let's go ahead and find our way to the Lyceum. Lyceum is toward the northern end of the island, and in fact I believe it may be this right here. It may be this rather large building. Yep, here we are. Now, we never went down in here earlier. If you remember, the entire way down into the depths of the Lyceum is guarded by magical fields. So let's go ahead and use our Dispel Field spell. We'll dispel one of these protection fields, and we're through. And we're underground, so we'll go ahead and light a torch. We'll go ahead and give our torches to Leona. She'll be our official torchbearer for this portion of the quest. Alright, now there's books everywhere. The question is, how are we going to find the ones that we need? Now, the Lyceum is, as you can see, a sprawling maze of many floors and many different rooms leading up and down. And there's tons of books in here. Books that talk about the previous Ultima games, books about other lands of fantastic voyages and different sorts of tales of adventure. For example, this book here, The Caverns of Freytag. A great dragon named Freytag came unto the Mystic Isles, and there was much fear and anguish amongst the populace. One day, the warrior Gertan set forth to beard the dragon in her lair, a vast series of caverns inhabited by strange creatures. He drove Freytag away from the land, and there was much rejoicing. And a lot of these books have nothing to do with our quest, and we could spend our time going and looking at every single book there is. But in the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead and grab 3 or 4 specific books that I know are going to be useful in our quest later on. And basically, I found these in an earlier playthrough just through random exploring. The first book is right here. The Lost Book of Mantras. Kim, Rum, Bem, Mu, Dim, Sum, Kyo, Ra, Lox, Nid, Pe, Be, Un, or Us, Ka, Bif, Pow, Sum, Bang, Lis, Zowie, Cow, Frem, Ort, Lum, Spam, Mho, Yum, Ti, Meow. We will need that book later, and I'll explain why later on in the game. Now if we go south to this ladder, there's another book right here. Ye Lost Art of Ballooning. Back in the days of the Avatar's quest, rumors spread of a strange sight in the skies. A tinker from the town of Minot claimed to have rediscovered the lost art of ballooning. According to ancient lore, this was a mystical practice that allowed one to soar through the air, higher than the birds themselves. No records have been found of the rituals used to perform this feat, but several farmers from the area still tell tales of strange sights. A strange sphere was seen, way up in the sky, and the voices of men could be heard drifting down from it. The apparition drifted up into the clouds and was lost to sight. This took place years ago, and naught has been heard of the mystic art of ballooning since that time. Well, if you remember when we spoke to Sinvral in our last episode, he spoke about somehow the town of Minot being related to the power of flight. I think this book might come in handy as well. Let's grab it. And we'll go ahead and head back the way we came. Now if we go down this ladder here, sorry, bear with me just one second. Yes, this will take us back to where we were. Now if we go down this ladder here, or rather up this ladder here, we find Snillwit's Big Book of Board Game Strategy. Chess, try to control the middle of the board with your knights, bishops, and pawns. Nine Men's Morris, don't let any of your pieces get trapped in the corners. Draughts, keep your pieces along the sides of the board where they can't be captured. Well, if you remember, Dr. Cat wanted us to get him this book, so let's grab it. Now if we head up to here to this ladder heading downwards, Tangled Tales. Once upon a time, in a strange land far away, there was a wizard's apprentice. His master, Eldritch, sent him on 3 quests, knowing he would learn his lessons best with the real world as his classroom. He encountered many strange and wonderful things. Ghouls and griffins stood in his way, and ghosts and giants as well. But he also found new friends and brave adventurers to help him. He rode on a flying carpet and on the back of a giant turtle. Finally, after exploring an abandoned mine, a pyramid, and a castle in the clouds, he finished his 3rd quest. He had learned so much on his journeys that his master rewarded him well and declared him a wizard in his own right. He soon opened a school of his own, and as the years passed and students came and went, his beard grew long with years. An interesting book, but not one we particularly need. So if we go down this ladder, then we head up this way and go back up this ladder, up this ladder, and finally up this ladder, and head down this way. The Wizard of Oz. A little girl named Dorothy from the far-off land of Kansas was carried to the realm of Oz by a tornado. And her little dog, too. She met 3 faithful companions who vowed to help her find a way home. There was a scarecrow who was on a quest for truth, a man of tin who was questing for love, and a lion who quested for courage. Truth, love, and courage. I wonder if there's any connection to the Ultima series there. Before their quest was done, little Dorothy slew the wicked witch, freeing the land from her evil influence. Her friends completed their quests, and she returned home to Kansas. Well, we know that Lord British wants this book, so we'll go ahead and grab that as well. All right. That's pretty much all the books we really need from the library. There are many other books to look at, as I've said, and lots of them. There's books that tell the stories of Ultimas 4 and 5 and 3, 1 and 2, as well as other books. But we don't really need to look at those right now, and I'd like to get on with the quest, so we could walk our way out, but we always have that handy Orb of the Moon, so let's go ahead and use that now. And I realized I used it in the wrong place, so let's go ahead and head directly to Lord British. Oh, unfortunately, he's not on his throne. Chuckles is busy juggling. He's not in the meal room. Perhaps he's in his chambers. No, he doesn't seem to be here either. Ah, there he is. He's returned from wherever he was. Thou hast found a copy. Long have I anticipated this moment. Not since my childhood have I read this wondrous story. Gingerly he takes the tome. Here is your reward. He gives you some glowing gems. May fortune favor thee. Okay, we have 13 gems. I'm going to go ahead and move those back to YOLO. And I did not mean to do that. Alright, that's one book delivered, and unfortunately it didn't give us any money, but that's alright. We'll continue on our way. Now let's head down to the town of Pause, and we'll drop off our book of strategy to Dr. Cat. Now, unfortunately, Pause is not a town that has a Moongate location, so we're just going to have to walk there, but it's not a very far journey. And we hopefully should be able to get there before the sun goes too far down, and before everybody retires for the night. A torch burned out, but we're already back above ground, so that's not any issue, really. Okay, here we are. We've reached the town of Pause. And if you remember, the cat's lair is over here on the eastern end of town. And Dr. Cat should be in here. There he is. Have you got a copy of Snillwitz that you'd be willing to sell? Why, yes we do. Great, this is the definitive reference on board games. He takes the book and gives you 200 gold crowns. Excellent. Alright, so we've made a little bit of extra money there. Now the final book that we can use to make money with, I'm going to show you really quickly. Is this book, The Lost Book of Mantras. And I'm going to show you a little trick about how we can use that to make money. Well, first off, we're going to go ahead and use that Orb of the Moons one more time really quickly. And head back to Lord British's castle. We'll go ahead and accelerate to the daytime here quickly. We'll just run over to the inn. Okay, so before we go ahead and get do this last little trick that I mentioned, let's go ahead and head back into the castle, and we're going to head to the Avatar's quarters. And if I'm being a little cryptic, it's just because I'm trying to preserve a bit of a surprise for everybody here. Those of you who've played this game before probably know what's coming. But I'll go ahead and keep the surprise for everybody who hasn't seen this yet. So the first step is we're going to go ahead and take everything that everybody owns and drop it. So let's start off with Lyceum. Oops, sorry. Now the reason we're doing this, we'll go ahead and keep their swamp boots. Oops, I accidentally ruined the oil flask. That's alright, though. I don't care about mugs and things like that. Alright, Leodin's goods are all in that one pile there. Leona's goods are going to go over here. And as you can see, the effect of dropping all of these items is reducing our encumbrance. If you're not holding anything, you have a lot of potential weight that you could carry. All of the precious possessions are being left behind. And hopefully we just won't run into any hostile encounters along the way. Alright, Shamino, you're next. I just realized a flaw in the plan. I wasn't expecting to have to drop this many items. I did things a little out of order from the way I expected to do them. In fact, before we drop off Shamino and Dupre's items, let's go ahead and just drop off the Avatar's items. We're going to go ahead and keep the bag with the Orb of the Moons in it because we need that, and we may want to use our ship. Alright, let's really quickly take the party off, and we're going to make a couple stops along the way, and when we're done with this, you'll understand why I've dropped everybody's items. But first, we're going to make a few stops at some armorers and weaponsmiths. Let's see what we can sell to Max here. He doesn't want any of the items that we have. He's willing to buy our spears. Fantastic. So we got rid of all those spears and got a hefty bit of gold for that. Next, we're going to head back over to the town of Jelam, to the armor who lives there. And his building, I believe, is on the southwestern side of town over here. Yes, here we go. We'll sell to no man. Dupre has a bow that we don't need. And I believe that's all they're willing to take. Okay. Now there's only 2 more armors that I know of that we've managed to meet so far. One is Intrinsic. Let's see if he's willing to buy any of our items. Ah, and the gypsies are here again. Well, he's only willing to buy Chaminau's personal items. Let's see if he's willing to buy anything from Dupre. No, the same problem, unfortunately. Okay. Not a problem. So the final armor that we've run into so far in this game actually lives in the town of Serpent's Hold. And unfortunately, there is no moon gate that will take us to Serpent's Hold. So if we'd like to go there, we're going to have to, unfortunately, take the long way. Go on a boat and head over there. And right now, I'm not willing to go there. We'll go there eventually again, but right now, well, we have better things to do. We'll make one last stop here in the town of Britain before we move on with the next part of our quest, the thing that I was going to show everybody about money making here. Let's very quickly see if we can sell... Oh, sorry, wrong room. I'm going to sell these extra arrows that we're holding, because nobody uses a bow in our party. YOLO uses a crossbow. Oh, unfortunately, she's not willing to buy any from us today. Oh, and I forgot, because unfortunately, I've dropped the arrows that YOLO was holding, so kind of defeated myself there. That's fine. Alright, let's go ahead and get back to what we were doing originally before we got a little bit sidetracked here. Let's head back to Lord British. And let's head back to the Avatar's quarters. Okay, so Dupre. Dupre has a bag that we can put all of these items in that we want to eventually sell. Oh yeah, she wasn't even willing to buy those 50 arrows that Dupre was holding. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop these crossbow bolts in YOLO's pile so he can have them later. And I'm gonna go ahead and drop these extra torches in Leona's pile, so she'll have them later as well. We'll go ahead and stop here. In our next episode, we'll continue our money-making ventures, and I'll reveal the reason for all of this creative inventory management. I'll see you then.